Well, the donkey of the day, I'm sure everybody's heard this story, is the fourth former Mississippi officer sentenced to 40 years in racially charged torture cases. These guys went around calling themselves the Goon Squad.
Really?
They were Mississippi police officers.
Oh my God.
It says that the officers pleaded guilty to torturing two black men and were sentenced to 40 years in prison. Horrifying brutality of the self-claimed Goon Squad. A judge imposed the harshest sentence so far to former Rankin County Sheriff's Deputy Christian Deadman, saying he committed the most shocking, brutal, and cruel acts unimaginable. They took things and stuck it up in the man's, butts. They made them. They put battery acid on them. They made them choke on stuff. They just tortured them. Mm-hmm. They tortured them. And one of them they tortured just because it was the guy lived next door, the police officer, and the black guys lived next door, and there was a white lady there. They didn't like that probably that it was a white lady over there. So it says victims came face to face with their tormentors in the trial.
They're still living?
Yeah, they still alive.
That's sad. That's sad to be scarred like that.
The lies, the pain, and one of them stood up and said, "The lies, the pain I caused them, I will never forgive myself for. If I could take everything back, I promised that I would. I got into law enforcement not as a devil. I really wanted to make a difference." So he was part of this white Mississippi law enforcement officers who raided the home without a warrant, subjected two black men, Eddie Parker and Michael Jenkins, to racist torture, tased them over and over again after they had already been handcuffed, beat them up with various objects, and then shot Jenkins in the mouth. So one of them, I guess, is after hearing the attorneys and the relatives of the victims they praised the sentence. So one of them did get shot in the mouth.
Wow.
Now, one thing I did like about one of these guys, you know how they always go to the parents and they say, what do you think about what your son did or whatever? And you know how parents normally make excuses? They didn't.
The parents didn't?
Or
the one parent?
The one guy's parent. Older white couple. They said that was not right what he did, and he's going to have to pay for it. They didn't make excuses for it. They didn't say, well, my son is, no.
Or they become the victim. He was probably bothering them.
Yes.
That's just evil.
So they got like 40 years. Some of them got like 17. Another defendant got 17 years.
Will they even be protected in prison?
The former officer left Jenkins on the floor to bleed as they planted a gun on the victim and plotted their cover story. So they was trying to cover it up. Isn't that something?
That's just evil. How do people find out?
I don't know.
I feel bad for these men.
The guys went and told, I think. Press charges.
That's real sad.
And they said they've been, what'd you say, Ma?
That was their own home.
Yeah, that was their home. They said that they have been doing this for years to other black guys, but nobody was felt they were scared to say something. Mississippi.
They let these two cops bully them.
And these two guys stood up to it and went and told to the DA.
But they've been doing this for how long?
For years, they said. Years.
How many other cops?
They called the Goon Squad.
How many other police officers are like this? And that's why you see people don't trust them.
And that's why they said hopefully this case will send a message to other ones that's out there doing that. That you gonna get caught out. The FBI was part of this, I think, of catching them. Okay. But they saying that we're gonna find you and you're gonna pay for it.
That's sad.
So he gave them donkey of the day.
You think for somebody to dislike a person's race that bad, you would think that evil took over their mind, to their spirit, to do that, because that's something that's beyond a human.
They said when it took place in January 2023, the officers went to a home in Braxton after a neighbor reported several black men were staying at a white woman's home. This is 2024.
Thank you. How many black men and white women do you not see?
On the night of January 24th, without a search warrant, the 6 law officers kicked in the door of the home of the 2 black men and subject them to an hour and a half of hell. an FBI director said. Parker, one of the guys, was a longtime friend of the white lady who was living at the home and helping take care of her. Federal prosecutor said Jenkins was living at the home temporarily. Despite having no probable cause to believe either had committed a crime, the 6 officers handcuffed and arrested the man, kicked and beat them, bombarded them with racial slurs, forced them to strip naked, assaulted them with a variety of objects, up there, you know what, tased them. How come it's even back, like even in slavery days, they would cut their penis off and emasculate them? Are we still afraid of black men? I said, you got to emasculate them. It's like, because what is it? Because they seem so strong to you or something?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what evil this is.
But that wasn't enough for these guys. The FBI director said one of them had the idea to stage a mock execution. So he took his weapon and secretly removed a bullet from the chamber. Then he put the barrel in one of the victim's mouth and pulled the trigger. Okay. Dry firing the gun. So that's why I wanted to keep reading, so I know. Then he did it again. But this time, the gun didn't dry fire. It discharged, sending a bullet into the victim's mouth, breaking his jaw. So he lived. Oh, there it is, the bullet coming out. He survived.
Wow.
So they was trying to play with them, taking the bullet out. We know that when we went to the police training.
Right.
There's always sometimes a bullet lodged in there.
Right, you gotta be careful. The thing that you went to say, when he went to say whatever he said at the court, I don't think there's nothing you can say.
He apologized.
There's no apology accepted. The only other thing he can say was, I was possessed or something.
I made some very poor life-changing decisions. They were morally and legally wrong, he said while apologizing to the families. He said a deputy was whatever. He just was
probably shouldn't read that. We shouldn't be reading this kind of story because we got a Citizens Academy class tomorrow.
We have a Police Citizens Academy class tomorrow that we're going to. That's good.
And we probably going to be the only blacks there.
Yeah.
Sitting there looking at the cops as they talk about how they pull people over. And we going to be sitting like this. Okay.
No, we'll talk. Not all cops are bad.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why because not all cops are bad, the ones that are bad, you got to get rid of them because they make you look bad. You got to get them out of there.
But my thing is too, how is it that they're able to, unless all of them are like this or have that same spirit, how is it that they were able to get away with this?
Because nobody said anything.
So they all must feel that way.
What's the difference between that and back in slavery?
That's what I'm saying. That whole police department. Is it like a Andy Griffin where there's just 2 or 3 of them?
Oh, I don't know.
And they all work together?
I don't know.
Wow.
All right. Now, we always try to